Hello, and welcome to Making Sense of It. I am Mona Duncan, your host, and this is our gift to you from the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. Our mission is to facilitate a world where people make responsible choices and build healthy relationships. You ever wonder why you do the things you do? Well, it's a little bit about control, except it is an inner control of learning what we think and what our actions are and our feelings and our health, and how that we have more control over that than we often give ourselves credit for, and learning how to do it in loving kindness. Each week we have a member of the Glasser Institute to present a concept and tell us about it and how it's working in their lives. And our speaker for today is Professor Dave Hancock. And we're having a little trouble with getting his picture. He had sent one to me. I was going to have it on here where you could at least see his picture, but we'll do that for another time. Okay, I may put that as the thumbnail on the Zoom account. But Professor Dave Hancock is going to be helping us learn about starting a choice theory environmental club from kindergarten through 12. So welcome everyone that's here. I'm seeing several people join us, and it's good to have you here. And Dave, hello.
Hello, Mona. Morning. How are we doing?
Doing good. Are you ready to explain to us about environmental health and developing a club for kiddos, young and old?
Exactly.
Well, take it away.
Yeah, I'd like to give a quick little minute or two introduction. Dave Hancock, my teaching career, education career is Cleveland Heights, University Heights Public Schools, Ohio, right out of Case Western Reserve University, close by. And Dr. Glasser, my first book I read was his first book, 1969, Schools Without Failure. Now, all of his education books, about 10 or 12 of them, from there. And personally, I knew Dr. Glasser. His brother lived in University Heights, and I taught at Cleveland Heights High School and a couple other middle schools from 1968 to 2003, 35 years. We had Kane Park about 3 blocks away. I had a nature study class. And Dr. Glasser, I inducted him. I was the image maker's advisor, and he graduated from Cleveland Heights High School. I inducted him to our Hall of Fame in 1985, and we presented a conference in Atlanta, Georgia, about 20 years ago. Did choice theory counseling, and I did choice theory in the classroom as a combined seminar. So that was very enlightening and exciting. So I've known this doctor, and he was in the Cleveland area many times. And I've known Dr. Glasser since 1985, personally and professionally. So his book, Choice Theory in the Classroom, I could simply have a title, Choice Theory in the Classroom by Quality School Teachers and Quality Schools, so every student can succeed. Result, Schools Without Failure. That was the first book, 1969, and that's the first book I read when I started my teaching career. So, and that on chapter 5, well, if you read his book, encourage everyone to read his book, Choice Theory in the Classroom, and it's basically a Maria Montessori type philosophy. So we have a kid's guide, student's guide to service project, and environmental club, right now, at this particular time, the pandemonium, schooling and education, like Mark Twain said, I never let schooling interfere with my education. Therefore, this would be a great time to clean up your school and take an assessment. And I'll give you the sources for this, the book, a couple books to get, so you can use that book for your whatever environmental nature study project you want to do. So this project, the how-tos, let's say clean up your school and starting an environmental club.
Dave, I need you to stay closer to the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Now, stay right close to it.
Okay, yeah, I have my speakerphone on. My cell phone here is 5 years old. It has to get a new one. It's kind of a dark age one, but it's for as a first year baby boomer, 75. Okay, for starting an environmental club using choice theory in the classroom, first we could find friends who are interested in joining your club. Find a sponsor, a teacher, adult leader, a parent. Give your club a name. Like we would say, I had one called the Henry David Thoreaus. We just said the Thoreaus. And pick a time and a place to meet. You may want to design a logo, buttons, t-shirts, and even a website for your club. We did that. And also, you could check out northernsun.com, which is very good for all kinds of items like that, as well as computergear.org. Choose an issue to support, and then decide what your club will do about the issue. If you want to monitor a stream, your club might check the pH level of the water in the stream. We did that, stream water quality monitoring. We're very fortunate in the Cleveland area. We have the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. We have Cleveland Metro Parks. I'm in Geauga County. We have Geauga County parks. We have Holden Arboretum. I went bird watching with Roger Torrey Peterson from his institute when he was speaking there about 35 years ago. Those are my kind of tweets, by the way. Tweet my birds. Ornithology there. If you want to also test for contaminants, work with health officials in the area, public health officials, and our community health organizations in the community. I can identify the fish, the protozoa, the bacteria that live in a stream, trying to find out if their numbers are increasing or decreasing and why, and make that report. Remove debris from the stream. Determine what else needs to be done or to improve and protect the stream. Report your findings to health officials or others can act on your suggestions. This is choice theory in the classroom 100% because Dr. Glasser would always talk about factory model learning and how, he used to call it control theory. And then he said, well, that's a bad word. That's true. So he changed it to choice theory. And he made this statement, profound statement. We learn 10% of what we read the first time, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we both see and hear, 70% of what is discussed with others, 80% of what we experience personally, and 95% of what we teach to someone else. That's why I would always have a student play teacher, explain something, whatever it was. I go, they come up and you make a good teacher because they explained to the class. They played the role of teacher. And I had a couple students, one student who was in my biology class, and he said, Mr. Hancock, you'd be proud about this. I graduated next to last in med school, case Western Reserve University. I'm still a doctor, and he took out my gallbladder, cholecystectomy. I'm glad I got an A in your class because you'd have a difficult time becoming conscious, by the way. Anyway, humor is so important in teaching. Let your personality flow, come out, and that really, who's your favorite teacher? What did they do? When was your first male teacher? Maybe 5th grade, 7th or 8th grade math or science. Let your histrionics come out. So on that environmental club, we can continue. If you want to organize a coalition to clean up a hazardous waste site, etc., or it's just what we call Saddam spider holes, trashy, just a dump around the place. Survey people who live near the site to find out what they think. And I'll give you a couple examples on what forms you can subscribe to, and then you I would encourage you to get a copy of these two books I'm going to recommend. And that will really help you out because I'm basing a lot of this on that book because it fits Dr. Glasser's choice theory perfectly. Meet with everyone involved, residents, the owners of the site, local officials, to determine the best solution to the problem. Write a proposal to public officials who can act on your suggestions. Well, in Cleveland Heights, University Heights were combined, right by John Carroll University. I taught there about 14 years as a part-time adjunct professor, educational psychology and science methods. You can write a proposal to public officials who can act on your suggestions. Go through your local government. If your plan requires local action, like City Hall, and your Board of Education, we'll talk about that also because everything going through the Bureau of Bureaucratic Bureaucracy, B cubed. Go through your state legislature or state house or county government. Ours is Cuyahoga County. If your plan requires state action, obviously. If you want to work for a statewide environmental license plate or decal, your club might meet with your state tax commission, health officials, government officials, etc., to find out what your project might involve. Suggest that people renewing their license plates be allowed to check a box to make a donation for environmental projects. I was happy to receive $2,000 about 20 years ago from Ohio EPA based on a proposal, and I encourage all of you for grants. Write those grants out, submit them, and who knows. Find a sponsor at your state legislature and lobby for your license plate or decal. Obviously, get to know your mayor and other officials. Go to some of those board meetings, and then you will give a presentation. Build a broad coalition of support for your effort by enlisting students, parents, community members, and other schools and other public officials. Coordinating that community engagement, very important. And once students get involved in your group procedures, your group affiliation, your learning teams, as Dr. Glasser would usually say, cooperative learning or whatever you want to call it, where you have four. I like four in a group. Start a petition for your license plate or decal. So incorporating your club, if you plan to raise money for club activities and causes, you may want to incorporate and gain tax-exempt status so you won't have to pay taxes on money your club receives. Here's how. Well, maybe call Wall Street or Congress and they'll just bail you out. Here you go. Here's a $10,000 for you. Good work. Get a business license with your city or county. Contact the IRS to request guidelines for becoming a nonprofit organization to obtain a federal identification number. And students will participate in it. The educational research is just fantastic. We're the guide on, we're not, well, there was a sage on the stage now and then, but we're the guide on the side. I present, ask questions, give 3 to 5 minutes, and I go, okay, I'm going to stop talking now because I do not want to contribute to global warming. I have excess CO2 coming out of my oral cavity anyway, I guess. If you want to be classified as a tax-exempt organization, you'll need to make a special request to the IRS. Check your state code for details on becoming a tax-exempt organization. Find a copy of your state code at larger libraries. That's another one, our school library, and in our local public library. We have one in University Heights and one in Cleveland Heights in your area. And for example, a Maine County library or your state government website. And a lot of websites there. So I was very fortunate. My nature study class, Kane Park, 3 blocks away from Cleveland Heights High School. Dr. Glasser did visit that park when he was a child and adolescent at Cleveland Heights High School. He does recall. walking to Kane Park on occasion. They took a field trip, didn't require buses, transportation, etc. So your local city park is great. Birds, trees, wildflowers, all the environmental nature study investigations, collections, twigs, etc., wildflowers, observations, pictures, nature, photography, just all kind of possibilities. And then if you are interested, and I'll give you a couple of resources, like I said, your service project how-tos. So I had students in groups decide which they would want to do, and then I'll give you the outline here. How to create a flyer. For example, give it a title, describe the problem or issue, describe your project, include the dates when your project will start and end, tell readers where your project will take place, describe yourself, your team, and your sponsor. Will there be a special event? Include the date, place, and times. Tell readers where to write or call for more information. Explain what's in it for them, prizes, fun, fame, satisfaction of knowing they have made a difference in their community. Include a picture or a cartoon if possible. Use color for visual interest. Vary the sizes of your words. Use recycled paper. Now, nature art, obviously we're going to have one or two students or artists. And I had students for photography. We had a photography class, an artist to design a flyer. I had some students create a petition. I had a couple students create a press release. And all this will be described in these two books that I recommend that you get from Barnes & Noble or wherever. How to create a proclamation. How to create a proposal. How to create a public service announcement, PSA. How to create a resolution, how to create a survey, that's a popular one. Design a survey. And the steps are 4 of them, and you'll be able to plagiarize these right out of this book I'm going to recommend to you. How to initiate an ordinance or a law. How to lobby, that's a good one. How to start a statewide fund. How to support or oppose a law, ways to fundraise. We receive money. Peter B. Lewis, Progressive Insurance, he went to Cleveland Heights High School, started an entrepreneurial program in the early 40s or so. I inducted him into the Hall of Fame also a couple of years after Dr. Glasser, and he gave our nature study program $5,000. I didn't have to ask. It's just givers and takers, but here's a wow. And of course, Peter B. Lewis with Progressive Insurance, well, you know how that turned out. This wonderful concept he had in insurance, and now the local office is over here in Highland Heights, about 5 miles away. Therefore, if you were to want to, read choice theory in the classroom, obviously, and it's the Kid's Guide to Service Projects. There's over 500 service ideas for young people who want to make a difference. It was endorsed by the Youth Service America. That's from Free Spirit Publishing, author Barbara A. Lewis, and it's freespirit.com. Excellent book. William Glasser's Choice Theory, 100%. Then the Teen Guide to Global Action, How to Connect with Others Near and Far to Create Social Change, also by Barbara A. Lewis from Free Spirit. Those two
Thank
books,
you, Dave.
Yes.
Thank you. You've given us a lot of good information and kind of the roadmap of which to follow if you want to start an environmental club.
A roadmap, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So from what I'm hearing, you're wanting to help children learn to appreciate nature and to take care of our world.
Exactly. I have a couple former students,
Yeah.
naturalists, Great Smoky Mountains, and one was at Yosemite.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate all the work that you have done to teach children. And I noticed there that you were talking about from the 10%, 20% of what we learn. And so are you saying that the more engaged we are, the more connected we become?
Exactly. It's rote memorization, multiple guess testing, A, B, C, D, E, factory model learning. Now, I would say educational reform has taken place with the pandemonium, because remote, virtual, independent learning. I was very fortunate. I had 12 to 18 students my entire public school teaching career.
Wow.
Science, 4 classes. Oh my. Now, that's a whole different issue. However, science classes, 18 to 20, sometimes they're designed for 24. Well, my college lab class, biology lab class, designed for 24. Sometimes they did have 24. At the Cleveland Heights High School, my nature study class, 15 on average.
Well, all right.
My nature lovers, and we had nature songs, and walk to Kane Park, 3 blocks away.
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot of influence on them, and they've had a lot of influence on you. And thank you very much for being with us.
I do recall what Henry Adams said. Teacher affects eternity. We can never tell where his or her influence stopped.
That's true. You never know. Never know. Never know.
Never know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate your persistence. I appreciate the knowledge that you have and the people that you have influenced. And thank
you. This is my first time
on
here. Technology. This is my first time, so.
Right. We'll work at it from both ends, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank all of you for being here, and throw your trash in the trash and recycle and help keep our beautiful world beautiful. So thank you for being here, and blessings to all.